When I was about 10 years old, I was assigned a big brother from a mentoring program called Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And I remember going into that, I was thinking like, this is gonna be lame and a waste of my time, but whatever. And of course, as it would turn out, Gary Jones ended up having a tremendous impact on my life. Now, what I most remember about Gary, the thing that made the biggest difference in my life, wasn't necessarily what you might expect. Sometimes as adults we can think that we gotta have the perfect thing to say or ask the right, life-altering question at the exact perfect moment. But often the thing that makes the biggest impact is way more subtle. I'll give you an example. To this day, I remember Gary getting a phone call from his wife, and I recall so distinctly how he spoke to his wife. Right? He was kind, and they were like funny and playful, and he was just a real gentleman. And in that moment, and mind you, I'm 10 years old at this point, but in that moment I made a decision. I decided when I eventually get married, that's how I'm gonna talk to my wife. That's how I'm gonna treat my wife, like Gary did. It wasn't a big sit down, intimidating conversation with bullet points and a risk and reward analysis chart, right? It was simply me observing his actions and silently, secretly taking notes. Kids are doing this all the time. It's a reminder to you and I that kids learn a little bit from what we say, a little more from what we do, but ultimately the most from who we are. Even today when my wife Sarah calls me, somewhere in the back of my mind I'm thinking, I want to speak to my wife and treat my wife the way Gary did. Think about the best teachers you had in school, or that favorite coach or favorite relative you had growing up. What do you most remember? The lesson plans they came up with, or the drills that they implemented at practice. You probably don't remember even the exact specific words they said to you in a particular situation. You remember who they are. You remember the atmosphere they created. What matters most, what makes the biggest impact on kids, is who we are. This is a sobering lesson for all of us. Kids are watching and they are taking notes. And often the biggest impact we can have is not what we say, but simply who we are.